Okay. Welcome everyone to the first episode of Startup Journey. We will be talking to entrepreneurs from all fields and know their stories of how they started, try to understand what drives them, their motivation behind it, and what keeps them going on their startup journey. We'll also try to learn and get some inspiration from them. I'm really excited to have my first guest today who is going to talk about his work and how he is impacting so many people across the world through his work. Let's welcome Sam Lark Jr. He's a mentor at Veteran and works at Main Street Hub. His mission is to help people use social media to create career security rather than job security. Um, okay, over to you, Sam. So
Hello to you.
introduce yourself. Welcome.
Well, hello, everyone. First, thank you so much for having me on. I am very appreciative of this spot and being the first, one on your show. Everyone,
Thank
my
you.
name, as you've already heard, you're welcome, is Sam P. Lark Jr. I've been known for getting hired twice using social media. And my goal really is to help people realize social media is more than just something where you're chatting with your friends, meeting new people, but it can actually help advance your career by building relationships and building your personal brand very strategically.
Right. Sam, I was going through your post, which is titled as Create Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram post out of your LinkedIn recommendation using just your cell phone. It is very popular. And I was also looking at a video. You were talking to a few students, maybe, and you were inspiring them. You were telling them what's the value of using Twitter and LinkedIn and making yourself visible to everyone and make your presence felt. So that was very touching for me. That's very true in this day and age. You need to make an impact on somebody's mind so that they remember you at a later point of time, right?
Agreed,
Yeah.
definitely.
So, tell us about that thing. What made you also the whole point of this interview is to tell people that there are various other ways in which they can earn their living, and even if they are going through some crisis in their life or some job losses or
Mhm.
layoffs, they should not lose hope, and people like you are an inspiration. So tell us, how did you started what you are doing, and why are you not in a traditional job?
Well, to start at the end and work my way back, I am at a traditional job for right now.
Okay.
I work as a customer service, or you would say account manager, here at Main Street Hub. It's a local business that helps local businesses manage their social media. Now, the story goes back in the winter, February or January or February of 2015, is when I really began to get active on LinkedIn. And the reason for that was, just like many people that joined LinkedIn, I needed a job. My wife at the time, she got an opportunity to go into a program that helped members of the military here in the U.S. make that transition to the civilian world. So she had that opportunity. But at the same time, we had to move from one state to the next. So when we moved, I had no job. So I did what everyone else did. I went to the job fairs, I applied to positions, but at the same time, I began to learn how to use LinkedIn. So I went to a job fair and I met an individual from Orkin Pest Control, just a pest control company here in the US. And I found that my thought was, what am I doing, talking to this man, because I have a degree in chemistry. And I was thinking, I'm not really using the full benefit of my degree. But at
Right.
the same time, I also had a thought, hey, you need a job. So make a good impression and, go from there.
True.
So we
Right.
talked and we made a good impression and we exchanged information. I connected with him on LinkedIn. Now, this was back in about January, February of 2015. Several months passed. I didn't hear anything from him. I ended up working as a telemarketer. I was one of those that would call people on Sunday morning asking them for donations to local charities. Those type of positions are not always met with the kindest people on the phone.
Right.
So at the same time, I felt, hey, let me make the best of this. So I wrote an article on LinkedIn about how you should look at your telemarketing experience. It teaches you things like being resilient, how to deal with rejection, how to persevere. Well, that was on April the 2nd, 2015. That same day, I received a notification from that same gentleman I met several months prior at that job fair. He said, hey, a position has become available at Orkin. Would you like to come in to interview for it? So, of course, I went in and I got the job. Now, had he and I not connected on LinkedIn, he would not have received the notification that I wrote that article. And if he didn't receive that notification, I wrote the article, I may not have been top of mind for him when it came to that role. So that was the first time I was hired from my activities on social media.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, the power of social media is definitely everyone should utilize to the best. Let us dig more into your story. Like you are a brand now on LinkedIn. People come to you for advices, and you advise so many people looking for jobs. Um,
Right.
like, what would have been different if you were not on social media today? If you can talk about that,
It would be a little
would you be losing? You know.
visibility. For instance, this call right now, you know,
Yeah, true.
social media, not just LinkedIn, but just social media in general has allowed us to take the walls down that used to be up. Not saying that we have access to everything, but right now we are able to connect with people whom without social media we would never ever be able to. Technology has allowed us to connect with individuals in different time zones all across the world and build relationships, and who knows what opportunities can arise from there. So to answer your question, without social media, I would not have as much visibility or the opportunities that I have today.
True. So, okay, this is something that you yourself took the initiative and went out and build up your own brand on LinkedIn. What advice would you give to someone who is introvert and who doesn't want to do a video, or who doesn't want to, who's just focused, he or she is focused on their regular job work, and how do they become a brand without their personality is like they're totally introvert. So how do they do things?
Well, first of all, I do understand. I've received that question in the past. It's all about the person and what they're willing to put themselves through. If they have the idea that they see being more visible on LinkedIn can lead to more opportunity, then they'll need to step out of their shell. They need to do what they see others do. And it can be baby steps. What I've been able to do on my profiles and building the brand that I have, it's all about learning from others. A lot of the things that you I've learned from other people. So the first step I would say is connect with other people. Connect with those that you find when you're looking at their profile, man, they really stand out. I would like to be able to do what they're doing. And if that's, something that's outside of your comfort zone, you have to judge whether you'll either feel better being safe in your place where you are, or do you want to make that effort to get to where you could be. So it's
True,
all up to the individual. So I would say the first step is connecting with those that are doing what you want to do.
true. Yeah, I think it is about pushing yourself and being in the uncomfortable zone. And
Mhm.
so my question again: were you always an extrovert, or like what drove you from a non-extrovert to this phase today?
Well, I've always been an extrovert.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
I was always a people person where, as a young child, I would just strike up conversation with random people I didn't know. That's just me. But I do know that, and I've always worked on my public speaking, because even as I'm speaking right now, I'm always thinking about the words that I'm about to say to make sure that they're very clear and concise. I don't like to waste words. And I want to
Right.
make sure that I'm heard, because there's no point of speaking if no one understands what you're saying. So I've always worked on that. But I have a tip for those that may not be so comfortable in public speaking or even comfortable in interacting. There are groups like Toastmasters. Toastmasters is an international group. You may have already heard of them
Yes,
yourself.
yes, yeah.
And I've actually attended several of those meetings. And you can attend them for free. Every chapter is going to be different. And I will say they'll allow you to just sit in the meeting and just even participate in some of the activities. You won't be able to give like a speech where they'll critique it. However, just from coming and being a part of it and seeing how things are organized and listening to people and being able to even interact with others, everyday people that are going through working on their public speaking, it can be very beneficial for whether you're an introvert or a person that it wants to be a better public speaker. So I highly suggest Toastmasters.
True, true. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It pushes you to just go out and speak, and they make you speak in front of people. So, yeah, that's a
And
good.
and and one
Yeah,
more note on that, just to interject, it's whatever you want to do. You can go to that meeting and not say a word. They're not pushy. They don't have an agenda. They are very welcoming. So you can
right.
go to the website or just type in Toastmasters into Google, and you'll be able to find a local chapter closest to you where you'll be able to just go and do at your own pace what you are comfortable with. And I
Sure,
think
sure.
that can be very beneficial.
Sure, this tip will definitely help a lot of people. Sam, I want to ask you, what do you do? Like, how do you help people? Like, I've been reading your blogs and watched your videos, but
Mhm.
I want to understand. I know your blogs are impacting a lot of people. Tell us more about that. Any examples of how people got, uh, people improved their lives through your blogs or videos?
Sure. So a lot of the things that I talk about are dealing with relationships. And when it comes to your career, a saying has gone out saying that it's not what you know, but it's who you know when it comes to getting a job. Have you ever
True.
heard that saying?
Yes, I do. I did. Yeah.
All right. Well, I've heard an addition to that. It's not what you know, it's not who you know, but it's who knows you.
Oh,
For
yeah. True.
instance, say you know the CEO at a company, and I come out to you and I say, hey, can you give my resume to that CEO? I'm interested in working in their company. You can say, sure. Now, you may not know me that well, but you as a nice individual, you want to see how you can help me. So you'll go to the CEO whom you do know well, and you'll say, hey, this guy, Sam, I think he'll be a benefit to your company. Here's his resume. Take a look. Now, the CEO may say, okay, tell me a little bit more about Sam. How's his personality? Will he fit in the company culture? You know, tell me. Well, if you don't know me that well, you won't be able to really speak to more than what's actually just written on my resume.
Right.
But now let's look at the other scenario. Say you and I have had conversations and you know about my personality, my character, my why, the things that drive me. Then when you talk to that CEO, you can say, hey, this guy, Sam, he's a really good public speaker. He can, interact with all types of people. I think he'll fit very well into your company culture. And he's a natural born leader. I think you should take a look at it. That recommendation carries a lot more weight because you know me. So what I tell people is social media is your opportunity to not only know people, but get people to know you. Create content that talks about who you are, your values, what you stand for. That's great for people to learn about you, and then also your passion. What do you want? That lets people know, okay, when they see the opportunity come up, hey, I know Sam said he wanted thus, thus, and thus, so I'm going to mention this to him because I know this is going to help him reach his goal. So that's
Right.
one thing. The second thing is, in order for people to actually reach out to you and help you, you must do it first. Always, I do my best to live by this quote that I often tell people. Zig Ziglar, he's passed away now, but he was a very well-known public speaker here in the US. He may have even traveled into other countries. He said, you can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. So when you put others before yourself, especially on social media, you'll find you're going to have a lot more people being open to connecting with you and even down the line helping you out.
Cool. That's very useful tip. So I believe anyone on LinkedIn who is not a no, who has not worked on his personal brand yet should use these two tips to he can write he she can write articles about their personality or their skill set and be known in the community so that people can recommend them and find them, is one way. Is that correct?
Yes, and I actually have a program that is
Yeah.
absolutely free.
To talk
You
about
can look
that.
it up.
Talk about that. Yeah.
It's called 30 Days of Social. Three gentlemen here in the US, hearts of gold. And I say that because they created this free program to help people be able to create content on LinkedIn. To go from just, a lot of people out there, they're just liking a post and they may not even add a comment, but they're not creating content. That's a good thing to do. You can consume content, you can read it, that's good. But for people to get to know you, creating content is very important. That's going to really open up a lot of doors. So they created the 30 days of social where for 30 days you get an email from them, one a day, on how to structure your post. It's text only. So they teach you how to post in a way that is actually going to be appealing to the eye, and hopefully over time grow your network of people interested in what you have to say. They also tell you the themes to write about each day, and it's absolutely free. You want to go to, I believe the website, or yeah, the website is LinkedIn period 30 days period social. I believe I have that correct. So it's linkedin.30days.social.
Sure.
If that does not work,
We'll be sharing that link in the description for the
sure.
video as well. A few last questions. Anyone
Mhm.
who is watching this and maybe he's not as inspired as you are or as driven as you are.
Mhm.
Maybe he or she doesn't even have a job or is going through some crisis in life. What would you like to tell them after your experience on building your brand and experiencing so many opportunities out there? Um, is there any shortage of opportunities in this world today?
There's no shortage of opportunities at all. It's just all about where you're looking. What are you focusing on? I remember before February of 2015, when I was on LinkedIn, before that time, my wife and I were actually in Florida, and it was very rough there. We spent about 3 years there, and the economy was not at the point where I was able to get a job within the chemistry field that easily.
Right.
And I actually worked two jobs where one, I was working part-time as an environmental science filtering water samples, and then time job second shift, which is about the middle of the day until the evening hours, as manual labor outside in the Florida heat. I worked both jobs and got there by riding my bike 18 miles a day. So I've been at that point where I was either unemployed or underemployed. You just have to keep moving forward. Focus on your goal and even set goals, and connect yourself with others that are doing what you want to do or doing the things that you are finding commendable. People that I admire, people like Quentin Allums. He's a young gentleman in his 20s. He's now on his second startup. He's starting his own business for the second time. It's phenomenal. People are doing great things. What you focus on is what you'll get. So rather than focusing
So basically, we can summarize as even if you have a failed startup or a not successful entrepreneur journey, your startup journey has not been good yet, or you might have been laid off. That doesn't mean that uh, there are no more opportunities, right?
exactly
Right.
correct.
Cool. So, Sam, thank you very much. And how do we reach out to you? How do people reach out to you?
You can find me on 4 different platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as LinkedIn is the primary one that I use. Just typing in my name, Sam P. Lark Jr., you'll be able to find me easily.
Cool. I will share your details also in the description below. Finally, anything else? One line summary from your experience being a brand on LinkedIn.
Put others first.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much for sparing time for doing this interview. We wish you all the best, and thank you again.
My pleasure. You have a
Thanks.
good day.
Thanks.